Good morning, guys. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 2020. I am your host, Miss Mosley. And of course, with me today, I have my good old pal, Addie Jack. And we are going to walk you through another question having to do with estimation. So before we do that, Addie Jack, would you mind walk through some steps that we need to remember while we are estimating? Remember, there are two rules for estimation. The first rule is we always round both numbers first. Then we add or subtract. You need to make sure you do them in this order because that's going to always get you to the correct answer. And there's one more thing that we need when we round. We worked on rounding all week last week, and we use this tool every time we remember to round. Addie, do you remember what that was? Yep, it was our rounding roller coaster. So remember, if you haven't drawn one of these in your journal or on a piece of paper, I would go ahead and pause the video here and draw one, just so you have practice drawing it and you have one to refer to whenever you're doing your work on Canvas. Now that we have all of our tools, let's go ahead and take a look at our question. Miss Mosley was training for a marathon. She practiced running on 3 different days. On Monday, she ran 28 miles. On Wednesday, she ran 37 miles. And on Friday, she ran 139 miles. What is the best estimate for the difference between the number of miles she ran on Monday than on Friday? So first thing we need to do is we need to circle, box, and underline our important information. So we know our numbers are 28 miles, 37 miles, and 139 miles. And let's reread the question portion of this problem. What is the best estimate for the difference between the number of miles she ran on Monday than on Friday? If you remember back to yesterday, the question that we did, we boxed the word estimate because that tells us what we're going to be doing. We know we are estimating. So we know that we're going to round both numbers, then we're going to add or subtract. Now, I want you to look and see if you see the other key word that tells us whether we're adding or subtracting. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video right here and read this question, and I want you to think about what is the key word that's telling us whether we're going to add or subtract. If you pick the word difference, you are correct. The word difference tells us that we are subtracting. Yesterday we had the word total, which told us that we were adding. Today we have the word difference, which tells us that we are subtracting. And it wants to know the difference between Monday and Friday. We are only focusing on 2 of these days here. We're focusing on Monday and Friday. So we are not even looking at Wednesday. So we're not worried about the 37 miles. We are worried about the 28 miles and the 139 miles. Now, let's remember, when we're estimating, we are going to round the numbers first. Okay, it says Monday and Friday. So we are going to round 28 and 139. So if you have a piece of pencil and a paper, go ahead and pause here, and on your paper write the numbers 139 and 28. Go ahead and pause here and write those 2 numbers. Okay, so this is very similar to the question we had yesterday. This number, the number 28, has 2 digits in the ones and in the tens place. This number down here has 3 digits in the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. When you are rounding, you have to make sure that you round all of the numbers to the same place. We can't round 28 to the nearest 10 and round 139 to the nearest 100. You cannot do that. So since 28 does not have a hundreds place, both of these numbers need to be rounded to the nearest 10. Okay, to the nearest 10. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the place. Find the place, and then go next door. Remember, if you have a pencil and a piece of paper, you should be following along and doing this with me. Find the place, go next door. 5 or more, let it score. 4 or less, let it rest. So remember here, the 8 is the bossy neighbor. The 8 is the bossy neighbor. So the 8 is telling the 2 what to do. So find the 8 on our rounding roller coaster. Is it on the part that says 4 or less, let it rest? Or is it on the part of the roller coaster that says 5 or more, let it score? It's over here in the 5 or more, let it score, which means our 8 is going to tell the 2 to let it score. So if I have 2 and I score, the 2 turns into a 3, and the rest turn into zeros. So 28 rounded to the nearest 10 is 30. Remember, the 8 told the 2 to let it score because it's going up the roller coaster. When the 2 scores, it turns into a 3, and the rest turn into zeros. Now we're going to do the same thing with 139. Remember, we rounded to the nearest tens place up here, so we need to do it down here also. The number that is in the tens place is the 3. So find the place, which is the 3. Go next door. 5 or more, let it score. 4 or less, let it rest. So the 9 is the bossy neighbor. Pause here and find the 9 on your rounding roller coaster. So if you found the 9 on the 5 or more, let it score portion of the roller coaster, you are correct. So the 9 is going to tell the 3 to score. So when you think of the 3 that's going to score, I want you to think about what that 3 would turn into. Now, first, before we do that, we need to remember our 1. Nothing happened to the 1. We did not change anything about the 1 in the hundreds place, so that stays the same. The 9 tells the 3 to score, so our 3 turns into a 4, and the rest turn into zeros. So 139 rounded to the nearest 10 is 140. Okay, we are not done yet because we've rounded, but now we need to add or subtract. If you remember, our key word was difference, which means we are going to subtract these numbers. Now, something tricky is happening here. Okay, we have 30 and we have 140, but when we stack them to subtract them, the bigger number needs to be on top. So we're going to take 140 on your piece of paper. Go ahead and stack these. 140 needs to be at the top, minus 30. Make sure you line up the ones place and the tens place. We know that we are subtracting these, so we need our subtraction symbol. So if you don't have a piece of paper, go ahead and, if you do have a piece of paper, go ahead and write this on your piece of paper. 140 minus 30. So first we're going to start in the ones place. 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then 1 minus nothing is 1. So whenever we subtracted, we got 110. So our answer is C, 110. So remember, when a question asks you to estimate, you are rounding both numbers and then you are adding or subtracting. Okay? That is the end of our lesson today, guys. You are going to go into Canvas and do some practicing of your own. So this is Miss Mosley saying bye. And Addie Jack, would you like to say bye to everybody? Bye, guys.